Welcome, everybody. This is Reverend Chris. It's time for our second edition of Angels at 40,000 Feet, where I do a reading and an angel reading to find out what the angels are forecasting for this coming week, what you need to be aware of, what's going on, and how you may need to prepare or move through it. So I want to address first, because of that, someone gave me a question last week that I wanted to clarify that just because I am not using, say, cards that have angels themselves on them, doesn't mean this isn't an angel card reading. This means when I have an angel card reading, I am guided by the angels first what deck to use. So for last week's reading, we used, Kyle Gray's Keepers of the Light, which has a lot of angels in it, but also has some ascended masters. This week's reading is going to be from Colette Baron Reed's The Enchanted Map, which has a little bit, is more of a spiritual growth / ascension focus on, ways how we move through it and things we're going to see on our path. So both of them are wonderful decks. Just because there aren't angels on the card doesn't mean that it's not an angel reading, because the angels guide me to deck to use that will give the clearest message that they want to put through to you. And then they also guide me to what those cards are and what those messages are and help me bring them through to you. So when I do an angel reading, that's what it means. And I am always connected to the angels. I am always connected to divine source, Heavenly Father. And I always do my readings and everything I do from there. And I go into my heart light temple and set the stage and clear it all out so that we are getting and connecting to nothing but pure divine source, Heavenly Father, his angels, and Jesus, Mary, Holy Spirit, all of that is all part of it. So with having said that, let's get on with it. So this last week was kind of a busy week in the news, a lot going on energetically and at the physical level, as we talked about last week. And it looks like this week is going to be no different. We have a lot happening. There's going to be a certain amount of tumult, right? Stuff coming apart. But we're going to get through it. As far as we have, the coronavirus is still spreading. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can go back to my original coronavirus reading that I did, my report that I gave you about it. And I still, with my vision for it, and I have absolutely no fear about this coronavirus. And we need not to have fear about it. I'm going to be creating a Chrysalis version later after this video that is going to be about fear and what fear is all about, how we can help keep out of fear, why we need to keep out of fear, the reasons that fear is so prevalent and fear-inducing tools and reports, right? We'll talk about that in this Chrysalis video on fear, which is going to be named Fear Not when you go looking for it. All right, so let's get to this reading. And this week we have 5 cards. And the first reading is called Ride the Wave. All right, look at that card. That's pretty obvious here if you think about it for a minute. Ride the wave. I'm going to get focused in. All right. So what this is telling us, first off, when you think of a wave, right, and you think of the surface going over, and then you think underneath, what all is, have you ever been pulled under by a wave? So you know what's going on underneath. I mean, you get pulled under and you just get rolled around and tumbled and run back and forth and wind up with your, you know, your face in the sand and down underneath, and, you know, your bathing suit full of sand. And, you know, scraped around and everything and jumbled. You don't even know which way is up anymore. And then you have the surface, right? If you're a surfer, you surf the surface. You don't surf underneath. You surf the wave. You surf at the surface of the water. So what this card's message is for us to be riding that wave and not allowing ourselves to get it towed under, get pulled under, and lose all sense of balance and direction. If we are only looking at what's in the news, and I won't even go into what I think about the news right now, but if you're going to ask me about where do I get my news, right upstairs. What do I need to be concerned about? What's going on? I look online in some different trusted sources that I have, but you don't find me watching news on TV. It just doesn't happen. I don't even know where my news channels are on my TV. So be aware that there is a lot of these waves coming in. Of things going on all over the world, right? This is global. This is just personal stuff. This is global with these happenings, right? We have the coronavirus. We still have all of these riots and protests and demonstrations in other countries in the world. We have the UK just did Brexit, and they are separating off from the EU with all of the, you know, everything that goes on with that. There is, you know, we're just finally got done with the fires in Australia. Now we have floods all over Europe. So there are earthquakes happening everywhere. And when we talk about earthquakes, I just want to slip this in here. Puerto Rico is still, every day, it's got tremors going on. Some of them are bigger than others. But when we had those first couple of really big ones, and then they were kept being followed by high magnitude ones, 5 or better, I asked my team what was going on, and Puerto Rico is settling. All these tremors, there was a lot of the structure of the island underneath that kind of crumbled with those big tremors, was stressed and broken. So the island, with all these other tremors coming through, is settling. And so it's going to be lower in the water by the time this is all done. So anybody wants to talk about seawater levels rising, don't go to Puerto Rico and point a finger there, because that ain't the story there. This island sinking into the seawaters is what's going to happen with Puerto Rico by the time it's all said and done. Not a good scenario, but they have enough of their own problems anyway. So we'll see what happens with that. So that's the message of this card, is to ride the wave, to stay on top, to stay positive and in balance and detached from everything that's going on, detaching from fear. And is there, team, Gabriel, anything that you want to bring through energetically for the people listening to this with this card? No. Okay. So are we done with this one? Yep, we're done. All right, so the second one that came up, home. And if you look at this card and the picture on it, it isn't just about an abode. You can look at the light that's showing there, right? We have light here. And you think of that as our divine light, our divine connection. And the message for this is, and Gabriel, help me to get it clear. Yeah, if you look at the book in this, which I do just for general looking at what's going on, it talks about this card meaning, just staying put, being at home. And there are a lot of places right now that are telling you that with the coronavirus, there may be some quarantines going on, but that's not what this card is about. Because that was my first hit when I was looking at this. It's not about staying home or quarantining or any of that. This hasn't to do with our physical home so much as it does with our spiritual home. And it is about coming into ourselves, into our center, into our soul, into our heart, right? And having that heart and soul center, right? The cross. Open and living from there, being in there, staying centered in that place. And that's where you're going to be able to, from that place, you're going to be able to do this, right? You're going to be able to stay above the waves, ride the waves instead of getting towed under much more easily. Does that mean there are times when you're not going to just be like, oh, and think, or whether they happen in your life or globally out in public domain, that there are going to be times that you're not going to be thrown off? No, it doesn't mean that. But it means that when you do get thrown off, you will catch yourself. You'll be able to see, oh, okay, and recover more quickly, and then step back so that you're no longer a part of the situation. You are observing the situation. So the home card is that it is about coming back to our own home, our soul home, our energetic and spiritual home, right? The place we're meant to operate from. It's about our ascension. And all of this that's going on is all part of that ascension. It's about pulling away all of the stuff that's been blocking our knowledge of our truth and our soul, not allowing us to see it, diverting us and distracting us from it, clearing all that away. But at the same time, we're kind of compressing from all of this stuff outside of us to come in, right? To come into self, to come home into self. So one of the, that's the main part of the message here, is that it's all about, there's going to be a lot of what's going on in this coming week is going to be about driving that process of coming home into self. And so Gabriel, there is all right, there's an energetic gift. Yeah, there's an energetic alignment that the angels want to bring out now, having to do with centering in your soul, and being able to be balanced in that place through what's coming and connected to divine source. So it's not just about coming into your soul. You've got to be connected to divine source, to God, to the light. And there was another, and I'm going to talk about this later in the fear video in relation to coronavirus, but one of the things that I have seen, and many other prophets are validating, right? They're seeing in their own way, interpreting it through their own lens, but it's all coming to be the same thing, is this huge, it isn't just great awakening. You know, the evangelicals are calling it a revival, but what it really is this coming back to God, coming back to divine source, reconnecting with the divine. And if you look at my video about the coronavirus, what came through to me in that was that's one of the main purposes of this coronavirus. When people are challenged deeply, they are faced with trauma and situations that their minds, their knowledge cannot cope with, has no solutions for. What do they wind up doing? Connecting beyond, looking for answers beyond themselves, because none of it here has any answers, and nothing in the physical world is telling them any answers. Why is this happening? What's going on? How do I deal with it? None of those answers are showing up in the physical plane or in our minds, all right, or available to our minds. We go upstairs to divine source, and divine source says, to find the answers. Whether that for you is Jesus or David or Moses or Buddha or, you know, whatever, Allah, whatever that is for you. Abraham, I don't know, but whatever that is, you know, especially for the Chinese, it sure isn't the Chinese Communist Party that everybody, you know, the Chinese want the Chinese people, the Communist Party want the Chinese people to revere and see as the answer to all of their problems. Well, it ain't happening right now. So they're having to go into, they're starting. It's going to be these huge pillars of light are going to appear on this planet because of this. So there's more to it, but that's when we're talking about this home card, coming home to God, coming home to source is all part of that. So sit back now with your eyes closed, take a couple of deep centering breaths. And who's coming in to do this? The Archangel Zadkiel is coming in now. Who's the angel of prayer and divine connection. So Zadkiel is coming in now, and he is going to bring you into alignment with divine source, with your soul. And open up all blocks to our connection. And I can tell, right now I'm connected with everybody who will ever watch this video and receive this blessing from Zadkiel and the angel. And there are a lot of people coming in to watch this have very blocked connections. So I thank you for coming here. And receiving this blessing from the angels. Know that it was your own guardian team that guided you here to receive this. Because it was something you didn't know you needed. Ugh. Wow. Strong resistance, strong ego programs built up, strong mental dependence. When we have strong mental dependencies, it is very hard for us to become divinely connected because we're so dependent on what our minds tell us all the time that we just shut that door. We don't even consider it. But as long as we are mentally dependent, we are also mentally controlled by forces outside ourselves. Opening our path and to divine source, and aligning and centering with our soul presence. So as you are experiencing this right now, you will know where home is. You know, you can feel that center. You can feel that being opened up, connected, and brought into alignment. And open to soul awareness. Wonderful. Thank you, Zadkiel. Okay, everybody take in a nice deep breath to anchor this, and then just let the breath out easily. All right, so the next message the angels want to bring through is this one. Into the unknown. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, is that the truth. There are things happening on this planet and to humanity that have never in the history of humanity universally through all the galaxies ever happened before. Never, ever, ever, ever. And when we think of all of the hundreds and thousands and millions of lifetimes that have been lived, and all the permutations and possibilities and combinations of infinite design, that we are in a situation that has never happened before is in itself totally uncharted territory, right? We've had to do this by hook and by crook, by the seat of our pants, moving through this as we go, learning as we know as we go. And you'll notice that what I'm getting here, and I always just tell you whatever is coming through to me. In the past, say back in the 60s, the hippie generation and everything, we had the rise of all of the gurus in the Western world. We saw all of a sudden got aware of the gurus, you know, from the Hindu and gurus and yogis, and you know the Buddhic traditions and all of the study, and of course we had our own Christian and Jewish and Islamic traditions of studying from teachers and learning how to do things, and that's who we learned from. We learned how to, you know, sort of connect with ourselves and whatever, but it was a much different process in dense 3D 60 years ago than it is now. It was a much harder run to establish those connections and maintain them even 20 years ago than it is now. And so what's happened, because this is something, this project, this ascension, right? This ascension in the body is not something that has ever been tried en masse before, including ascending the planet. But it was something that was either we were going to try this or everything was going to be wiped out and we'd start over. And the decision was made to try this. And that's where we had the call for the 144,000 to come in and be volunteers to bring light to the planet. We didn't just all arrive here this lifetime and say, hey, we're here now, we're going to save you. No, didn't happen that way at all. We came in and we have been here for hundreds of lifetimes, some of us thousands of lifetimes on this planet. And in each one of those, we are bringing light and we are anchoring more and more light and spreading the light. But in this lifetime in particular, because of we're heading into the end stages of this ascension, the things that the gurus and other teachers had been teaching us only took us so far. And then we had an entire generation or two that have gone through this, like I said before, by the seat of our pants. Nobody was there to tell us how to do it. We had to slog through and figure out how to get from point A and point B, or even to know that there was a point A and point B. We just kept going because that was our sole directive. Keep going. Figure out a way to make it through. When you figure out the way, share it with the guy behind you. Keep going. That was the message. Our soul message was just keep going. And every one of us has been through horrible, tumultuous loss and turnarounds in our fortunes, whether it's from disease or financial stuff or losing homes or jobs or people, whatever. We have all been through deep, deep trauma that forever changed our lives and our way of looking at life. And there weren't any gurus to teach us how to get through that, right? And at the same time, we were not only going through all of that stuff, but we also were soul directed to move into paths of soul growth. So we started becoming aware of all of the wounds and everything that we had, and that we and just that they had to get cleared so that we could move forward. We couldn't live with this stuff anymore because it was dragging us down. We didn't know down from what. We just knew down. It was lowering our vibration, and we didn't like that. So we have been for a long time on a journey into the unknown. Only this card is coming up this week to say that there are, not only are we in the journey into the unknown, is that some of the things that we haven't known are going to become known this week. That you know, things that we have been blinded to, right? You see the blinders, the blindfold she's got on. Some of those things are going to become, we're going to become aware of this week. We've been running through the unknown, through the dark, and some of that stuff is going to come to light this week. I don't know how big it is or how much of it we will know. I'm getting a lot of it. Ooh. Okay, so there's something coming that's pretty big that we're going to find out about this week that's been hidden, that we've been kept in the dark about, that is going to come into the open. And it is something that is going to be kind of how do we deal with this is going to be our response. Is how do we deal with this? We've never seen this before. This is horrendous. It's going to be something that's not good. Trust me, I'm getting confirmation it's going to be something nasty. And we're not going to know how to, that's the other part of the unknown. We aren't going to know how to deal with this on a personal or on a cultural level. And we're going to be challenged in that way. And you know, this card has so many meanings. I keep, you know, another meaning is that we're going to want to come just run into the closet, shut off the light, and hide. And you can do that if you want to, but it's not going to help. It's not going to work. All right, that knowing is still there. And it's still going to be there when you come out of the closet, because you know you can't stay in that closet. You can't stay in the closet with the light off all the time. All right, you got to come out at some point. And when you do, it's still going to be there. So we have to, you know, we have to be aware that something is coming. Something is coming this week. You know, that's why we started out with Ride the Wave, right? And getting soul centered. So there's something coming this week. Now we already had just, you know, Harvey Weinstein got convicted of rape, but that's yay. We're glad the justice was served in this case. But there's whatever is coming this week is going to be big, and it's going to be nasty. Now, are we talking, angels, like a political event, a natural event? Something having to do with the elite. Something having to do with the elite is going to be exposed this week. Whew. Okay. Whatever it is, be prepared. All right. So the next card that comes up is the wishing well. And this card is kind of is a positive card, and it's meant to be positive. And the wishing well card is telling us that whatever is happening this week is part of things that we have been dreaming of, that we have been desiring to happen, that we have been wishing for, hoping for, praying for a long time. To bring the dark to light, to expose the things that need to be exposed, you know, to bring the wrong to right. So what we're being told here, and this is a simple message, nothing deep on this one, is what we're being told here is that the things that we have been praying for are going to start to come into fruition. We're going to start to see some of those things this week. You can talk about energetics, you can talk about astrology, you can talk about anything else that you want to talk about, but whatever means you use to describe it, there is, you know, the things that we have been looking for are going to start to be seen, uncovered. They're going to start to happen. So we have a whole world to look out for. So just look out. There are things that are going to pop up. Now, they may not be a lot of people are looking for really big things to happen. And, you know, some of those things may never happen for other, or at least in a way that we will be aware of. But there are things coming into play and being put into place that are supporting our prayers for the earth and for humanity and for our future and for our ascension, to rising up, to being more than we have been, and to being of the light, in the light, and by the light, and for the light, right? And for love. So that's what it's all about. We done with this, Gabriel? Big one. Okay. So the last card that comes up is this one, Deep Freeze. So you can see, looking at the message, is the connotation of winter. So a lot of things beginning to happen between now and the spring equinox, right? Winter season still. We got about 4 weeks. There's a lot of things going to happen. But the message that comes through with this card more than anything else is, if you look at the picture and you see the ice, and you see it frozen, and you see it like it's, you know, on top of a river. And so what do we know about frozen over rivers? Just because it's frozen on the surface doesn't mean there's nothing happening underneath. That water is still flowing like crazy, and there's fish, and there's like other stuff going on down below. We can't see it because we're in, you know, we're standing on the ice. So while there is a lot of stuff, a lot of things that are going to happen this week, or begin to happen, right? Going to start. If you think about popcorn, you think about the first couple of kernels starting to pop, pop, pop. That's kind of what we're going to start getting this week. And once things start happening, a lot of people are going to get kind of impatient because they want to see more. It's like, whoa, 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 where's it? You know, no, be patient, still be patient. The Ascension, the Great Awakening, is a process. And it has taken a long time. We're talking, you know, decades, centuries maybe, right? We're talking about maybe since Christ, since Jesus came, who paved the way for us to get some kind of understanding here of who we really are and what our capabilities are as humans and ascended humans. So he gave us the clues about what our powers really are and what we can do. So this has been going on for now 2,000 years, building slowly and slowly and slowly. But at the moment, it is hitting a crescendo. It's building and building and building. It's like you can almost hear the instruments in the band and the maestro going, you know, but it's ever so slowly, and the intensity just builds up, and the anticipation just builds up, and you can't hardly stand it. But it's still going to be, it's there, but it takes time to get it all in the right place. And boy, when it starts to burst, boom, you know, like popcorn. You get those first few pops, and after those, all of a sudden you get, boom. Well, that's kind of the way things are going to happen at ground level here. So be aware of that. So, you know, it'll seem like, you know, it's wintertime. It's still going to seem like there's not a lot going on, but trust that there's a lot happening beneath the surface that we're not yet seeing, and we need to stay calm and steady, and to not rush forward trying to do anything, right? For ourselves to sort of keep ourselves in stasis where this all goes, to stay in an observational mode. I get a big yes on that. To be in an observational mode, to watch it, to not try and take a lot of action or get excited or get in, you know, whatever, get frustrated about it. For us to be in observational mode, in stasis, as we watch what's happening. And if you, once you're connected with your divine source, if you sit down and do some meditation and prayers and then sit to listen, you may get a sense of what it is that's going on down under the surface. And I suspect we might get a little bit more information on that next week, and I'm getting a big yes on that. But for now, this is all you need to know. Do we need any other, are there any other gifts here today, angels? No. All right, so be patient. There is stuff that you're going to see, things that are going to happen, things that are going to come to the surface. It's going to start happening. But remember to just sit back. Hold the line. Get a big yes on that response. Hold the line. It's not time to charge forward yet. Winter is a time of regeneration, of planning, of completing this cycle of growth, right? Dormancy. And then spring is the time of rebirth. So it's kind of like the beginning of the cycle, where winter is the end of the cycle. So keep that in mind for this week as we move through the week. So just to review, we have ride the wave, stay on top of it all, don't get sucked down. Stay centered in your divine connection and your soul in order to help you do this. Understand that there are things coming to light that have never been seen before, that we have no idea what to do with or how to deal with. Trust that our prayers are being answered. It isn't time to throw prayers in, to throw the coins in the wishing well. It's what we have already done that is showing results. It's beginning to show results. And Harvey Weinstein's conviction is one of those results. There will be more to come as justice begins to show equal justice under the law, that the bad guys and the elite and those who think themselves immune are going to start to be punished. So we'll see. There's more to this. It isn't just about justice. This is about a whole lot of things that all of us around the world have been working toward, praying for, that are going to start to be seen in certain ways. So keep your eyes open for them. And then, of course, the one we just did, you know, lots going on beneath the surface. Don't rush things. Hold the line where you are now. Hold the line of light. Hold the line against the dark. And stay in stasis. Just be there, because the time for us to do something is going to come soon. And we have to be ready for that. But stay in stasis. Replenish. Anything else, Gabriel? Nope. Okay. All right, peeps. That was this week's Angels at 40,000 Foot message. And I hope you have enjoyed it and gotten some benefit from it. Please share in the comments anything that you received during the week, or you can contact me directly at the email address down in the description below the video, and I'd love to hear from you. So have a wonderful, blessed week. Thank you for being here. I love you all. And thank you.